All right, so it's my absolute joy and honor to have Juan Carlos Kaiten today in the Conscious Evolution Summit. Greetings, and my heart go to Mexico. And before we go into the conversation, I just want to share a bit what passion Juan Carlos has actually. And Juan Carlos is a social architect specializing in evolutionary leadership, global collective intelligence, social networks, and organizational transformation. He is co-founder of the School of Social Alchemy and partner in Together, a social synergy platform being designed to foster global societal well-being. I have difficulties with this word, I admit. Societal, I guess that's it. And I mean, you also work closely with Barbara Max Hubbard, and I never met her in person, but I had the privilege to have her in my first Conscious Evolution Summit, and she's dear to my heart, and I feel her presence in all what I'm doing. We continue what she really started and what her life was about. And Juan Carlos, I'm just interested, so maybe you can give us a bit history. How did life orchestrate so that you found this passion to be really in this global network where you work for social transformation, and as Barbara said, this planetary awakening? And how did life put you there?
Well, it's been a journey. It has been an amazing journey how things have been taking me there. It started at an early stage. When I was a kid, I was always very curious. And all of the questions I had at that time, I couldn't find them neither in family, school, religion, friends, anywhere. So at that time, there was no internet, so I couldn't go and Google them and ask God Google and find the answer to any question I had. So I remember I was 6, from the 6 to the 12 years, I had like so many questions, always interested in all of the mysteries of life and the universe. So my first years, I think until the 18, I was always looking for answers to. So I was studying astronomy, I was studying parapsychology, I was studying meditation, like all of the different elements that you could not find in school, as I thought that we were missing important elements and answers that I was not satisfied what I was given by science, school, or even family. So that in the middle, that I became the national president for an organization called IASEC, and that changed my life. It was from my early years, when I was 18 to 23, pretty much when I was in the university, that I became, I had that role, and pretty much my role was to foster the development of young leaders with international vision and social responsibility. And that took me to travel more to around 25 countries. Representing Mexico, traveling all over while I was in the university. That was my real career. So in that way, I became a world citizen because I had friends everywhere, and I would be attending conferences all over the world with young people from all over the world. And then there I learned that we love, we cry the same way. There are no real differences between religion, social class, races. We all were united by a common goal. And as long as you are united by a common goal, you can go beyond any differences. We remember we were like people sometimes in Chile. We met the Mexican ambassador, and he was totally puzzled how it was that my team, I was the president at that time, they were coming from all the different universities in Mexico and those the people from those universities do not talk to one another and not even hang out, because you have rich, poor people from one culture to another. Mexico has some diversity. And that was a very interesting thing to learn. So that was my path into social justice, try to understand how it is that we can reach peace on earth. And my journey took me to the area of collective intelligence. And there is where I started practicing many of those elements. And then I met Barbara. I lived also in the States, in Boston. I was working in human development, organizational transformations. And I learned there working inside big corporations that my path was not inside a corporation, that the change I wanted to see in the world will not happen from the corporations, at least in the position I was. So I quit the world. I said, I want to, God, take me wherever I have to go. I was in Walden Pond in Boston, and ended up opening a coffee house. And because I was invited to a movement, to start a movement, like all revolutions have started in coffee houses. So let's say, well, we have to start in a coffee house. Let's open a coffee house then. So that was our vision, was to have like a network of community centers, and those to be the beacons of light to unite community into strengthening the social fabric, learning to get along, to talk to one another, to bring projects. And we were very successful. We won several awards. We were managing to bring people from all areas into that, into joining in celebration. And there's where I met Barbara, her book. I saw the first book of Barbara, and I started realizing that she's holding the codes for a planetary awakening. And then I started applying all of her codes on what will it take to awaken, to reach a planetary awakening, which was her vision, how we can consciously evolve. And that's the important piece on how what took me here and in this evolutionary journey, and this moment that we need to reach planetary consciousness to move forward. So that was a little bit of the journey.
Wonderful.
How things started.
Thank you so much. And I'm impressed about you had quite young already a big capacity to be in service with such groups and with your travel. So kind of, were you born like that with this capacity, or did life give you enough challenges to develop that in your life? Because often it's difficulty and challenges which bring us to this point where we have a big heart and compassion and this capacity. And it's different for people. Some, they just are born with that. How was it for you?
I think I was somehow born with that. Always my family they always make the joke that I am the adopted one. So because I don't match certainly in the family. I have always have this call for this evolutionary journey that we are meant to achieve. And I have been always guided by dreams. I've been dreaming since my early age, having dreams of what is to happen in the planet and how things could happen. So I've been given through dreams some revelations and codes on how this planetary awakening can happen. So I've been motivated by my dreams. Oh. That's been one of my elements of guidance.
Yeah, so you really have this internal guidance, and where you just follow that and are in service of that. And do you also experience a lot of synchronicity happening then? Because I just notice in my own life, and also when I meet other people's, that often when you are kind of really aligned in your inside and you kind of have this inner guidance, often it's the case that kind of magic seems to work and seems to play, where people and circumstances really come together, where minds couldn't control it like that or make it up like that. Do you have a similar experience?
Yes. What is happening right now, I think that Barbara used to say that everything that raises converges. So we are in this convergence moment. And I believe synchronicity is one of the formulas that I've been working, is that synchronicity happens because of resonance. So we are resonant beings. And the first step for this conscious evolution and planetary awakening process is to reach the right frequency. The first question we need to ask ourselves, what is my frequency? I am connected to my heart. I am connected to my heart purpose. At the moment I do the match and I start vibrating in the frequency that I was meant, that I was born to reach, then I will start attracting all of the right people. Then is when the magic happens. You meet the right people, you're in the right time at the right place, things happen smoothly. So it is like when you're in a high frequency connected to your heart and to your high purpose, it's like jumping into the highway of synchronicities and possibilities. If a person is not connected to the frequency of their heart, they will be going into the hard way, like into this difficult road full of bumps and dangers all over. So it is energy. So the first element I've been finding about synchronicities and how things happen is that once we reach the frequency of our heart, we start communicating with what some collective intelligence practitioners, as Tom Atley, he says that there is he calls that Gaia's evolutionary impulses. So there is an impulse that we receive when we are in our right frequency. That's where we can get inspiration. That's where we can be connecting to what other scientists are talking about, the morphogenetic fields, like Rupert Sheldrake, or the noosphere that some people are speaking, that we're connected on this field of thoughts. Mm-hmm. And once we are in this frequency, we start connecting with people, I believe, in these invisible lines that are connecting us all. So that's what we call the internet. We are moving from this era to be connected through the internet, but eventually one of the visions of some conscious evolution is that we are moving into becoming suprahumans. We have to develop the intel inside, which is the alternative to transhumanism. It's not that we are against technology. I mean, this is technology. We are using technology, but there might be a time where we might just do it with other capacities that we could develop. I mean, conscious evolution is as the central topic of our conversation. There are 3 steps for a planetary awakening, for conscious evolution, and it has to do with frequency, resonance, and coherence. So those have been some of the findings. I am working on the formulas after I worked with Barbara very closely to her. I started learning that Barbara was the spokesperson to a vision, a planetary vision, an emergent vision. So it is not necessarily Barbara's vision, but Barbara was seeing something emerging. So she started sharing, hey, this is the future of humanity. This is where we are going. And many people were resonant, were in the right frequency, started like resonating with one another. Once I'm connected, first step, my frequency, then I receive the impulses of what is the purpose of my life, what is my gift, what it is for me to do them. And that's why we have this beautiful diversity. It's like a musical symphony. We are into a frequency, and a musical note is frequency. There are some of them that are resonant with one another's, and there are others that are not. So there is nothing wrong in which you might not be resonant with a person. That's okay. Go and find your resonant others. We don't need to be miserable with people or working in groups that we are not resonant with. So that's a very important element about learning your frequency, finding your resonant others. And once we find our resonant others, then you can reach coherence. Then you practice, get along, let's work together, let's work with our shadows, let's become this enlightened co-creator. Let's develop these skills so we can reach coherence. And then once we have a coherent group, then is when we move into the strategic connecting and bringing groups together, small groups connected. And this is one of the visions that we've been working with, which is the network of networks. The network of networks is Gaia's immunity system. And the network of networks is what can enable a community to access to their collective intelligence and therefore consciously evolve. So those are some of the principles that that I've been working on, that I am working on right now. We are building some prototypes in terms of how, and this is what we are doing with the Deepest Heart Desires group, how we can bring small groups to become deeply intimate in supporting each other to become the best version of themselves, playing a multicentric game in which each person goes to the center and we ask that person, what is the gift you bring to the world? How we can ensure that you actually manifest it. We are here for you. So everybody goes to the center, and that's how you build such a strong bonding with the small groups. So then that's how you pretty much create a pretty much impenetrable, like you cannot penetrate that circle and destroy it because the bonding is so strong. You cannot infiltrate there because they have values. So having those small groups is some of the things how we have learned and we're practicing that we can activate the will of co-creation as a process to bring whole system change. So well, those are some of the principles we're working with. Is critical mass plus the formula for a planetary awakening is critical mass plus frequency, resonance, and coherence. So if we have these ingredients, this is some of the elements we are working on and what we are developing, working on the softwares. And some of them are ready to go right now, and some of them are on the make, and there are building blocks connecting them to one another. Mm-hmm. So this is a beautiful time of convergence. There are many groups getting like a Lego from different areas, people, experts on governance, participatory democracy, new economy, social justice, spirituality, water technologies. All the dream of the wheel of co-creation is coming together.
Mm-hmm. And how far are you with this infrastructures now when we are talking? With the software and material to really bring these networks together?
It is coming very close. Perhaps I can show some pictures, some slides for people perhaps that is not familiar with the work of Barbara Marx-Hubbard. Mm-hmm. I can just briefly share my screen here. My work at this moment is focused on what we call the School of Social Alchemy. The School of Social Alchemy, it is a model that is helping organizations to reach coherence and to develop the capacity to take collective actions, in essence. So this is what we are combining: social technologies, but we are also combining spiritual technologies. And for people, I mean, I will say that alchemy is the science of spirit, because it is a science. Whatever, all of those things that we call magic, and we cannot explain, and miracles, those are the words we use to describe what we cannot explain. But we are actually, alchemy can explain that very clearly in terms of how you can achieve things that we believe are impossible. Mm-hmm. So, well, I'm gonna share here this here. This is the evolutionary, the wheel of co-creation of Barbara. An important element now is that this is the history of this is the history of the universe, and this will be this turn of the spiral here is like the history of humankind as we know it, as far as we know it. Yet now, especially in this 2020, we are entering, and if we take a snapshot of where we are, this is the decade of planetary consciousness. Some people are calling this to be the golden decade. We have 10 years, I mean, we have less, but in 10 years, we must have reached planetary consciousness, because it is only with planetary consciousness that we can face the challenges we have in the planet. We need to move from, I mean, we are right now, the power of countries the cities are becoming like the working units of a country. Cities are becoming like selves to be self-sufficient, interconnected. But from cities, we need to move to eco-regions. We need to stop seeing the political borders are not necessarily aligned with the ecology, with how do we create are not aligned with the ecosystems and are not necessarily aligned with cultures, especially in Africa that's totally, things are totally divided. So we need to start thinking more in eco-regions, in a way that we can look into the ecological and societal patterns, and we work things in a systemic way. So many of the challenges we have, we need to have several cities working on an eco-region to save a river, to solve a problem with plantations, with plagues, and so on. Is this not like after my political border ends here on my state, and I don't care what happens to the other state? Well, that's not going to solve your problem. We need to cooperate with other political states and countries. So that's the first step, moving into eco-regions.
And just to interrupt you, Juan Carlos, because I have a question. What is your experience? How easy or difficult is it to bring more cities together in creating such an eco-region? How are we in progressing in that journey to bring them together?
I think this is when we bring the capacities of collective intelligence. Some of those methodologies are called the art of hosting, where we combine different dialogue architectures that can help us bring the dialogue. The greatest challenge of humanity is our lack of capacity to connect to our collective intelligence. That is it is not poverty, health, COVID, or all of those. We have many solutions for the many problems we have.
What supports bringing this together? Our collective intelligence? What is needed?
Well, let me tell you, I will just go to another slide just to...
Sorry that I interrupt you, but this question was just so there.
Yeah, I mean, we are here, we are in this moment. I mean, we are victims to we are this choice point. Where we put our attention, that's where we go. Right now, we don't have a collective vision for a positive future. We have been indoctrinated with an apocalyptic visions of the future. If you will ask people what is our future, everybody will start describing this future. But the first element to access our collective intelligence is that we need to have a positive image of the future. So I have asked city builders, which future do you think we're heading to? And everybody said yes. When I told them, why cannot we live in this future? They say, oh, come on, that's an utopia. We're never going to get there. That's like fairy tale world. And I say, okay, what if I pay you? What if Bill Gates enters into the room and asks you, could you build this for me? I will pay you. Don't worry about how much it's going to be. The guys look into this picture and say, we can build it in 5 years and better. So I was like, okay, so it can be possible. So what it is really limiting us? And one of those elements is that we don't have a positive image of the future. We need to transition from the era of the American dream, where only the few, the strong wins, to the era of the planetary dream, where we all win. We are moving from the paradigm of divide and conquer to the paradigm of unify and thrive. This is what we need to understand, that it is in our best interest. Elizabeth Satori speaks, and she says that when an ecosystem is small, is young, they try to expand, to cover as much as they can, to conquer. But as an ecosystem grows old and there is nowhere else to grow, the law of the fittest changes to the law of cooperation. Is cooperate or die. This is the decade of cooperate or die. And we need, or I will add to that, perhaps we need also to learn to co-create or die. It is very different, co-creation to collaboration to cooperation, and we have to be very, very precise. We're right now working on a project to properly describe what co-creation is, because we are misusing that word. Anyway, to respond to your question, first, we need a positive image of the future. And secondly, I'm going to go to what we have on the School of Social Alchemy. Just some of the work we've been doing. We call this the magic canoe, which is the work I did on my thesis. It is a model, it's the DNA of collaboration. At the central piece of everything. It is about balancing the masculine and feminine principles, which is the origin of life. That's according to alchemy, that's according to many mystics and ancient traditions. They speak about these three symbols. And this is where we move into the world of invisible architectures and understanding what are the social agreements and how we build our societies. And it is what we observe when we go to how do we evolve a society. We look into the masculine and feminine principles and observe which are guiding the social agreements on how we run our economies, our education, our health, and all of these sectors of our societies. Right now, we're living mostly in a masculine paradigm. All of our social structures are built with masculine principles. So we need to balance and start wondering, what does it mean to bring the feminine elements, for instance, in economy? Bernard Littard, the founder of the creator of designer of the euro, he said that we needed to introduce feminine currencies in order to bring balance to our economy, meaning barter, gift economy, and many other type of currencies that can truly unleash the true wealth of a community. So that's just an example. I will go straight to this. Oh, this is in Spanish. I need to put it in English. Well, I think this will be a Spanish lesson for all the
So you translated for us and we learn a bit Spanish.
But it is English has a lot of roots in Latin, so you might be able to understand some of them. But the important piece is that we have 7 levels of co-creation, and these are the skills that we need to develop to access to our collective intelligence. And this was part of my work on my thesis, which was on sustainability and large-scale collaboration, how we can access to our collective intelligence. And we discovered that there are 7 layers of complexity on how humanity interacts. So it goes from personal mastery to our social body. So in order to the planetary awakening and the conscious evolution process that we are talking about, we are 2 steps away from a planetary awakening. The first step is that we reach the capacity to take 1 step, everybody, all at once. It's not necessarily not only about having critical mass. It's about having the capacity to have an imprint in the morphogenetic fields. Is once we take a step, a critical mass, taking a step, everybody all at once, that's a statement. 1 million people doing an action at the same time. And the second step that we need to take is to know where do we take that step. So those are the 2 things that are limiting us right now for a planetary awakening. I believe we have right now the critical mass. We need to harness the capacity to act collectively. What does it take for that? Well, first of all, there is a personal mastery process. You need to learn to get along with yourself, love yourself. So this is a personal mastery. Work with all of your shadows, whatever happened to you when you were little, and grow up, enter into being like a joyful, healthy person. And then it's about how do you do in your one-to-one interactions. Are you one of those persons that behind every iteration you have with people, you have a trace of tears and drama, or do you have a trace of love, happiness, and magic and serendipity after each encounter you have? So what type of person you are? How is your emotional intelligence? How do you work that out? And then, but if you work, these are not necessarily linear, but they happen all at the same time, yet they include and transcend. So if you are good here, you most likely will be a good team member, a creative, a good person to work with. And plus that, there are many other tools and practices on how to be effective, how to become agile. And so this is like moving into the new paradigm of getting like thriving organizations, dharmic organizations, reinventing organizations, still organizations. There are many words on how do we use the term for conscious organizations. The main question here is, what is the service you bring to the world? Whatever you do, are you bringing good to the world? Are you not damaging the environment, taking advantage of your people, taking the bill, passing the bill to the people for whatever you are contaminating, and so on? So this is what a conscious organization is. But then we cross the line here. The pyramid works here. From here onward, the pyramid doesn't work anymore. So then we have to learn and understand societal, networks, and networks of transformation. How do you use the power of networks? The networks, what they do, they are divergent. They help you to see the whole. You can see you can get to know what are the 1,000 beautiful people in the room. But the communities of practice, the next level is convergent. This will let you find what are your resonant others. There might be 100 people, 1,000 beautiful people in the room that you would love to meet, and you could have wonderful conversations, but there might be actually 5 people you need to talk to. So that will save you some time and move to find your resonant others. And then when we move to the social body, to the 7th level, is how do you harness the power of an organized community that has the capacity to see each other, to talk to one another, that have different levels of organization, that they are connected. Let's say that you go to the sport areas, like, are they sport clubs in your community? Are they connected? Do they run like contest? Because like a sport show, a sport festival could join a whole community. This is what brings binding of a community. And if you do this sport with the cultural people, or you bring businesses, so then you start building the social fabric of a community. You build trust, you get to know each other, you get to know that they are not that crazy because you actually start talking to them. Important. And this is when a community has a strong social fabric, then they can move to the next level. They can move to run a wheel of co-creation process, like Barbara, like I did with Barbara, or she also called it the synergistic convergence. This is what allows you to run participatory democracy, synergistic democracy too. This is this level, this is where we can bring innovation. This is the area of innovation where what you cannot solve within the boundaries of your organization, you could find solutions to more complex problems when you work in a community of practice and you're meeting perhaps with all of the CFOs of your region, trying to solve a financial problem that you cannot solve alone, but you might be able to solve it with your resonant others, which are the CFOs of different other companies, for instance. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the models we are using, and this is what we use to, this is just an example. In the School of Social Alchemy, we are bringing the best people we know in these areas for this to be the trainers. The School of Social Alchemy is a repository of best practices at each level. So you can learn it by yourself, you can get the expert to teach you, or you can bring the expert to do it with you or for you, depending on what is needed. So well, that's the answer to your question on how do you harness the collective intelligence of a community. Oops, let me just get out.
And you said just your opinion is that we already have enough critical mass?
Oh, yes, 100%.
All right.
We crossed the line of the critical mass long time ago. What we need to reach is the capacity to access our collective intelligence, and this is one of the tools, for instance, that we are developing. This is called the Synergy Engine, and we are doing this with the Together team that you know, with Brett and Andrea. And this is like the holistic, holoptical network that you can see holes rather than seeing flat windows. You get to see holons. You click here and you go inside who is here. You can see who is interconnected. And this is helping us to see patterns, to have holistic conversations, to adjust how do we navigate and see holes in the computer more alike the way our brain works. So this is some of the technologies we're building. There are other technologies. I don't have the slides here right now handy, but we are preparing a presentation right now to start to work on a city where we will be using technologies for participatory community building, processes. We've been implementing these technologies in Copenhagen, Mexico, Moscow, Denmark, London, bringing school kids to come up with their best ideas to a problem. And it is amazing the number of ideas that school kids, 12, 15 years old, can bring in half an hour, and the energy they have to solve it. So these new technologies, we can just bring problems into the center, and we can get different stakeholders, the voices of the community, either they are the kids, organizations, a government, etc., all together, and we can start using this new generation of collaborative tools to bring the best ideas, to prioritize the ideas, to have conversations about what are the best solutions and how do we make them real through crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and different mechanisms that finally in this decade they are ready. My self-fulfilling prophecy is that this is the year where the new generation of social tools are emerging, social synergy tools are present. In the next 3 years, we will master, and there will be more coming. There are more on the make. In the next 3 years, we're going to see a new generation of social synergy tools that will totally allow us to activate our collective intelligence. The moment that happens, we will move into the network of networks, and we will tap into our global brain and into our global heart. And we will be starting the process of global coherence.
Wow.
So that's my self-fulfilling prophecy. And that might take us to fulfill the dream that in 10 years, we might be flipping the tortilla, how is it in Mexico, just the reality to the other realities. The question is, what is the future we want to live in? We have to start believing. We are starting also a project in Mexico. Just around that, we are joining forces with the Mexican Film Association and some leaders on the area of film industry, creating documentaries for consciousness. And we're making a call, like, let's create the future we want. What is the future we want? So we're interviewing people. We are asking the Mexican people to send a 1-minute video describing what is the future they want. And we're building like small get-togethers to start conversations with a coffee. Let's talk about it. And we are going to be using all of these tools to start the process. We are moving from the I have a dream to the we have a dream era. These are really, really amazing times. As 2020, everybody is making jokes like, I'm not going to count 2020 as a year that I lived. I'm going to be still like 33. I'm not going to count this year as I was locked down all day. But this year is a portal year. It's a year that is catalyzing a global movement. Nothing is the same. And nobody wants to go back to the reality, to the normal we have. This is the perfect opportunity to ask ourselves, what is the new normal we want? It's not the future of fear that right now we see in our TVs. We have a real opportunity to really ponder and ask ourselves, what is the future we want? Because if you believe it, then you create it. So we need to start really working at that level.
Wow, that sounds so promising, and I'm totally with you. I also have the sensation kind of that we can make it and that it is possible. And I just wonder, in the state you are with this processes, if people here listening this conversation are interested. I mean, we provide website link and so on, but is there anything in particular where you say you would need support in a special way? If people would say, we would like to contribute to that, to bring that forward?
Yeah, this is when, again, magic happens. There are many people coming together that are joining forces. Well, we need help right now in a way to find our resonant others. We are looking for places to prototype this. We are starting in Mexico, possibly in a city in the States. We are also starting in Copenhagen, and we have a project called City Transformers, where we want to take this to 100 cities around the world. So we are looking for places to prototype it. Of course, we are also needing some. I am part of a global network of social architects and software developers. I am more of a social architect or social alchemist, because I am also, what I do is social biomimicry. I look into how nature, the universe works, and I translate that to social systems. And then that's the blueprint of what we need to code. So we are combining also like with technology, tech guys telling us what is possible, of what we see as social architects that is needed. So yeah, I mean, we invite people as places to prototype, to the coder technology communities to let's develop these technologies together. This new set of social synergy tools, they need to be co-created. They should not be made only by the next big software company that will have a monopoly around that. That's not the future. We are moving into more multicentric, like resilient networks, mycelium networks of shared economies and joining geniuses. So that's the type of future we want. And of course, financial resources to make all of this happen. This is always welcome. Yet we are building like new economical systems. We're building ecosystems functioning with new economical rules, in which we can guarantee not only a basic income, but an operational income to all participants, so everybody can fulfill their dream and their gift to the world. And eventually we should move them to a thriving income, which is what we all deserve. Right now, the website we're working is mostly done. We're working on the website, which is socialalchemy.live, and we can post it there. And we also have Escuela de Alquimia Social.com, that's in Spanish. But that's, you can find us there. And that's how we are bringing into action all of the work we did with Barbara Marskovar, using the wheel of co-creation, bringing golden innovations into reality. And this is just an example. We did it in Monterrey, Mexico at some point, with all of the head of justice, the Minister of Justice, economy, the deans of university, business leaders. And we have it here, Barbara, bringing all of this at the encounter, worldwide encounter of values. So this is, we've been doing this for many years, and these are all of the people working in making this a reality.
And I just, I mean, yes, Carlos, you said the critical mass is already reached, but I always have a bit of sense, what a pity that yet kind of really the mass media do not really transport such information. And do you have kind of access also in, I would say, yeah, kind of really mainstream media, in news, in programs, in such fields?
Yes. I think the mass media will take on that. I mean, right now we are moving into the era of the free media because we have social networks. We are not dependent of one channel to pretty much to describe what is happening. Right now, all of the new generations, all of the news they get are from the social media, which is resilient, it's independent. You get sources from all areas. And I trust the media will eventually peak when we reach critical mass, and there will be movements, positive movements, which are bringing a call to action. It is not a pointing fingers, like angry people in the street wanting to destroy a system. But no, this is an invitation to build a new system. This is an invitation to bring everybody in. There is no right doers, wrong doers. It is about like everybody can be part of the solution, even the ones that are at the head of a system that is not working or that is destroying our planet. This is like, I call this a social Aikido move. We should open elegant ways for everybody to join this, that I call the planetary party, because everybody should have a seat. And we should open elegant ways for the organizations, companies that are, that are doing that their processes or products are not fully sustainable or not in the best interest of the planet. It is an invitation for them to do the right thing and transform the way we produce in a way that is truly sustainable and in service to the planet. So I will say just that I trust that media will join eventually. They will have to follow. But again, the problem is that we haven't reached coherence. We haven't had a coherent movement. They are just filming angry people in the street. Mm-hmm. Yet we need to practice those 7 levels that I shared in order to reach coherence. Once we have coherence movements, I am sure all of them will make the media, and there are many people in the media that they will be very happy to, of course, to show what is working, to show the breakthroughs, not what is breaking down. So I think that's, I trust that media will not be a problem. We just haven't had the right movements ready.
And is kind of such movements like also initiated from Heart Math Institute, where people come together, joining in an app, bringing their heart coherence together, or this, how is it called, this moments of mass mindfulness or things like that? Or do you have also other events or modalities in mind which could support this, bringing forward this global coherence?
Yes, I mean, I'm not directly involved with, I know very well the work of the HeartMath Institute. They have the HeartMath Pulse right now as one of their projects. Some of my close friends are connected to them. So, I mean, they are the perfect partner to be measuring the impact of the many projects. We were just participating at the World Unity Week. And I mean, in these few months of the 2020, there are, I am aware of at least 20 different world unity movements with many fashions, and all of them are out there. I think right now we are in the process of bridging the gap for all of those festivals to make the news and to inform people. But I think, I trust that the gaps will start to be reduced, and the bridges will be built for all of that information to go into mainstream and to gain momentum. But I think we're still in the early stage. So I will expect that in the next year or two, when we have strong organized movements of unity and to build conscious cities, conscious neighborhoods.
So also this caravan of unity, which is happening this year, is also kind of really heading in this direction.
Exactly. I mean, there are, you name it, there are many of them emerging in all areas of the planet, in Latin America, in Egypt, Africa, Asia. There is a planetary awakening happening. I mean, this virus might be just taking all of the the news right now because it is we have a global emergency. But I was aware of, again, many festivals, big festivals that were aiming to reach the billions of people in the planet, that all of them are canceled right now. So we are readjusting to the new reality, but it is perfect because this new reality is bringing people in the right place to really wonder. Because few months ago, people will say, oh no, I'm fine. Why do I want to change? It's not the best, but it's working. But now it is okay, what do we do? Nothing is working.
Yeah. I always have the sense, I say now even the last people will get it, that we have to change. I mean, I'm so happy about that. All of that is coming to the surface. I guess it's perfect. And yeah, and I mean, just on this short-term perspective, yes, a lot of things are canceled. But as you said, I also sense this opportunity to use that really to, first of all, realign really, as you said, with our heart. What is really my heart's desire, to align with my frequency, and to kind of use this compass really, and to find other people, and from there creating more from inside out, than such movements. So I'm also very positive. And I mean, I spoke now in the last years to altogether around 100 experts, and I notice we share a story, we have a common vision. It's there, and so many people spread it just in their way, in their networks, in their fields, in their parts of the wheel of co-creation, and I'm super positive. And Juan Carlos, I mean, we are coming to the end of our conversation. I can't believe it. But what would you say to a person joining now the Conscious Evolution Summit, being here in this field and in the space together with us, and really also being aware of this global net where we are aligning, with our hearts and with a bigger vision? What would you like to give our audience as a last message and motivation, maybe?
Sure. As a last message, I think I got a last minute call. Call to action. I will just take it like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's very funny. That's the call to action. So
Yeah.
what I will say is pretty much the planet, all of this change that we are expecting to happen is happening inside. The planet will be the same. The planetary awakening is something that will happen in our hearts. So I will just invite all of us to move from, I mean, this is very cheesy, but we need to move from fear to love. And it is, that's how the planet will change. It's gonna be our perception and how we will see people different. We will see situations different. So I will just invite people to tap into the beauty of the opportunity we have in front. Let's stop looking into all that is dying and breaking down. Let's just put our attention into what is breaking through. If you look into the surface beyond media news, the most amazing movements and possibilities are emerging. Is go back into your frequency, what it is the deepest heart, your deepest heart desire. Connect to that, find your resonant others, and thrive, and then reach coherence. And we will be building then these small pockets of coherence, meeting your resonant others, having the most amazing times with all of this global community that is coming together, having the most amazing parties and doing the most amazing work. So I believe the new reality is already present, and many people is living in that reality. We just need to connect to one another and just increase the waves of coherence that will eventually reach critical mass, and everything will just shift overnight. That's the way change happens. That's the way quantum leaps happen overnight.
Oh, thank you for that. My heart spreads all over the globe to Mexico. You're really a soul brother in that. I appreciate your humor, your love, your vitality, your positive vision in all of that. And I'm looking forward to co-create more also in the future. And thank you for that you said yes to my invitation, and that you be part of this amazing gathering of really so fantastic speakers this year. So I'm really looking forward to spread all of that. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We will be playing and working together for sure. Looking forward.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Many blessings.